Hi, my name is Valeri Patterson. I had grown up in a Christian home. My dad was a pastor, and my parents diligently taught myself and my siblings about the love of God, and we would read scriptures together, and I thoroughly enjoyed going to church. I had friends there and a great community, and I really didn't know anything different. That was the small world that I grew up in. But as I began to really just delve into the world of college and of parties and all the other things that come along with that, I began to just recognize this cycle of guilt and shame that I was feeling because I knew that that wasn't the person that my parents wanted me to be, or my family wanted me to be, or I guess really, truth be told, who I even wanted to be. But it was what I was choosing to do, and I enjoyed it, and I was enjoying it for the most part. But I noticed that I began living two lives. So I would be the party girl Valeri at school, and then when I would go home, I would be the good Christian Valeri at home, pretend that nothing was wrong, and that, just, it was by coincidence, and that I hadn't found a church yet, and all of those things that I knew that I was supposed to be doing but I wasn't doing. I would just make up stories about it. Really because I felt like I needed to act or be a certain person at home out of fear, because I thought that if they found out what I was really doing or who I really was, that maybe they wouldn't love me as much anymore, or that I would disappoint them or bring shame to them. And so I just pretended that nothing was wrong. And in the midst of that, I have always kind of felt like I've been the black sheep of the family, because I literally just went off and did my own thing. And as I continued doing that, it built up this even a disregard and for the things of God, because in my heart I just isolated myself so I wouldn't even have to deal with it. Didn't go to church, didn't want to be around Christian people, didn't even want to be around my family, didn't want to talk to my dad on the phone, didn't want to, because I knew what I was doing was disobedience. It was not who I was supposed to be, but it's who I was. In the midst of just this cycle of repetitive sin in my life, I ended up meeting my husband Phil, and we moved to Columbus, Georgia. And that is where, when we came to Aletheia, we were really looking for still just that longing I had of church family and community, and some place where I would belong, where I wouldn't have to pretend to be somebody that I was not. A few months after starting to come to Aletheia, there was a sermon about being a child of God. And up to that point, I had never considered that I wasn't a child of God. I grew up in a Christian home. My dad was a pastor. For me, that was just, I was a Christian. I was saved. I never really questioned that at any point. But as the pastor was reading Romans 8, the scripture talks very specifically about evidence of being a child of God, even in our daily life. And as I searched my heart and began to just look back, I realized that there was no evidence, that and truth be told, I wasn't a child of God. And that really broke me, because I hadn't even ever considered that before. And so for me to realize that I wasn't a child of God, well, then that question, was I even saved? Was I a part of his family? And I realized then and there that I needed to know in the depths of my heart that I was his child, and that I was his, and that my heart was saved. So on July 15th, 2017, I acknowledged that I was a sinner, finally, and asked Jesus to wash away my sins and to to come and live and dwell in me and to make me a new person. So after I finally acknowledged I was a sinner and surrendered my life to Jesus, I have now a renewed sense of hope and life and freedom in that. I don't have to pretend to be somebody that I'm not, because I am now a child of God and I belong in His family. I had been searching for belonging and family my whole life, whether it was the family that I was born into, the family that I made at college, even church families. But all of those, I felt like I had to act a certain way or be a certain somebody out of fear that I would not be accepted or would not be loved. But now that I am in God's family, I know that He loves me in the deepest, darkest depths of He knows everything that I've done, everything I will do, but yet He has conditionally loved me, and He saved me, and He chose me in the midst of all of my rebellion. He chose me, and He pursued me. I want to be baptized so that I can publicly declare that I am in God's family.